But of course, we've got to start with the big news of the day. And I was going to go live earlier, but I thought I'd save it for this show with the boys. Southgate has gone. He has resigned or been sacked, or it's mutual consent. I don't really care. He's gone. He is no longer the England manager. What was your first reactions to that, LB?
Right decision. I think he should have gone after Qatar personally, if not earlier than that. I think he's basically our Brendan Rodgers, man. You know what I mean? He's come in, he's took us to a decent level. You know, he's definitely improved us. He's got the squad united and that, but ultimately, he isn't a winner. You know what I mean? He's never been a winner in his career. You know what I mean? He's won, I think, 2 League Cups as a player, and he won a Toulon tournament as a manager, which is an under-17s tournament, I believe. So he's not a winner. He's done well to get us to this point. Obviously happy to get to finals. You know what I mean? You want to win, but, you know, it's better to get to a final than get knocked out at the group stage. But I think it is time, man. I think it's time. Personally, I think he should have gone before the tournament. I think we could have won that tournament if we had a manager that was a winner. But it is what it is. Can't change back the clock. So yeah, the right decision, man. It's the right decision. The question is though, you know what I mean? It's the right decision. But if we end up getting like Lee Carsley or someone like that, then you know what we're doing there. You know what I mean? What we're doing. We need to go out there and get a winner. We need to go out there and we need to have a manager, yeah. Because you got to think about a lot of these players in this team ain't won nothing. Yeah, look at Pickford, not won anything. Kane, not won anything. Saka, I think he won an FA Cup when he was like 17 and played like 1 game or something. Rice has won 1 trophy. You know what I mean? So you got a lot of players. Gueye, not won anything. A lot of these players haven't won anything, or if they have won something, they've not really been part of the team or whatever. So we need a manager that can help these players get over the line. Because if you look at it, yeah, you look at the final. Kane, poor. Foden, poor. Jude Bellingham, poor. Rice, poor. Kyle Walker, poor. For me, when you're talking about like half the team being poor in a final, that to me is on the manager. If it's just one player, it's on the player. But if half the team is turning up in a final and playing badly, that to me is like, well, the manager's not doing something here. So I think it's the right decision. He should have gone before the tournament. And let's just hope we get the right replacement, man.
I think you're spot on about it being the manager. And I think that Harry Kane shouldn't have been picked to start. Whether it's because his legs have gone or it's an injury,
I agree.
Both of those reasons should make the manager go, you've got to not be in this first team. I think he also made this mistake. And this is not coming from a position of being a rival. And the problem is with a lot of the discourse around England is it gets shrouded in people's club rivalries, club loyalties. And it honestly frustrates the living daylights out of me. I think Foden's brilliant. And if you've watched any coverage of the Terrace, City fans, you know how often I've said how brilliant he is. I also like Bellingham, but they're different players. But they play in the same position. So playing both of them had points of this tournament where they were out on the left. It's horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. So Kane was stinking the place out, which created problems. You then got 2 top-class attacking midfielders, one of which is always playing out on the left-hand side as an example. We had, for the majority of the tournament, a right-footed left-back, so that you had 2 players on the left that were inverting because they're not left-footed, so we had no width. And this just had a trickle-down effect into the team. You had players like Walker that I didn't think had a particularly good tournament. Again, you've got someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold's level on the bench, not getting enough minutes. There's so many mistakes. I think you have to look at the manager. You are right. We need more winners in this team. But if you compare it to the England team of 3 years ago, the final then, Kane has gone on to win a European trophy since then. You've got that young Kobbie Mainoo that's come in, won a trophy in his first year. Barring Harry Kane, most have gone on to be more successful, especially the City players. You do have to look at the manager. And I know a lot of people are saying Lee Carsley, you know, the Spain manager, whose name I actually don't know off the top of my head. Yes, he was the under-19s and under-21s manager. But I think we need better than that. You know, I think we need to look at the Thomas Tuchels. We've got to look at the Poch's. Poch's not really a winner, but we've got to look at him. I think we should be moving heaven and earth to bring Jurgen Klopp in as the England manager. And I'm talking, I think we pay Southgate $5 million a year. Let's pay 12 million. Let's pay 13 million. Let's pay 14 million. Get someone like Jurgen Klopp on a 4-year deal to get hold of this squad. You said earlier that Southgate's like our Brendan Rodgers. We'll go and get Klopp, because look what he did after Brendan Rodgers left. And this team is too good not to win. And we're also in an era where it's not as if we're up against 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 other nations that all have world-class teams and squads. There's one or two that are at similar level to England on paper. They're just managed, typically speaking, better than we are. And the biggest thing we need is a manager that isn't scared to drop the stars. This tournament became all about the stars, just like in the golden generation before them. I've got to play Bellingham. I've got to play Foden. I've got to play Kane. I've got to play Walker. There's nothing I can do. They have to be in the team. Nonsense. There should be zero thought about who they are and what their status is. I love Jude Bellingham. I don't really like the scapegoating that's come out in the last few days, but I do agree the Hey Jude Adidas advert was stupid. England have pushed for 5 years this notion of it's not about one person. There isn't one savior. It's about the team. And then we go into this tournament with whether it was his fault or not, I don't really care. Someone that's gone into it as he's our savior. Every other tournament we've done that, whether it was Michael Owen, whether it was Wayne Rooney or David Beckham, we've failed and we've gone down that same path again. So we need a manager that's going to pick the best team, not the best players. We need someone who has won trophies before, because it would be a shame to see this generation of England players end their England careers in the same way as the previous golden generation. So I agree. It needs to be a top manager, in my humble opinion.
First of all, I like Gareth Southgate, the man. I think when you look at what he is as a person, I don't think you can't really dislike him. You certainly can dislike him when he's on the football pitch. Tactically, there is so much I don't like about him. I just think the style of play is really weak. Some people have said I don't see a style of play. I do. I think it's a very unattractive one. I think it's a very safe, negative one. When Cole Palmer scored that equaliser, Conor Gallagher was waiting to come on. All the fans are geeing him up to try and get the winner, and he's trying to bring Conor Gallagher on. That tells you everything you need to know, personally, about Gareth Southgate. I'm a Gareth Southgate fan. When I listen to him, I think he handles the media well. I think he's great with the players. There's no doubt the players like him. But when I watch him, it is so boring. And I am pulling my hair out thinking, is this Stoke City under Tony Pulis, or are these players treble winners and Champions League winners? Like, what are we seeing here? I understand the praise he gets in terms of getting England to finals and semi-finals, but the equivalent of England getting to that semi-final and final, in my opinion, people might think this is harsh. This is like Arteta with Arsenal going into an FA Cup draw and beating Lincoln, Huddersfield, Hull, Chesterfield, and then getting Manchester City and losing in the final. And everyone going, well, he got us there to the final. That is the equivalent of what Gareth Southgate did in this tournament. There is nobody that can tell me that England should have lost any of those games before we faced Spain. Nobody can tell me that they were like, wow, how have England got through that? How did they beat Slovakia? How the hell have we beaten that Switzerland team? Look at this Netherlands team. They're unbeatable at the moment. It was a clear, easy run to the final. So you can't give him too much credit for getting there. And I'm with LB. I'm not going to say he's the Brendan Rodgers, because I actually think Brendan Rodgers did a better job, if I'm honest. But I understand what he's talking about. He's obviously not able to get us across the line. And that's why he stepped down, because he knows that he can't. I think it's fair. I think he said, look, I've had 4 tournaments. I've not been able to get you across the line. It's time for somebody else to come in. Who do we bring in? I think it's difficult, because there will be the old school that want it to be an English manager. Well, there isn't many out there that are great. You know, a lot of people are talking about Potter being the favourite. Eddie Howe, will he leave Newcastle? Gary O'Neill being mentioned in the chat, I saw. Fair. He's one of the better ones. It's an English boss at the moment. Would that take us to the next level? I'd rather have them than Lampard, Gerrard or Carsley. That's for sure. I don't want those 3. I think Gerrard, Lampard or Carsley coming in between.
If we get Gerrard, I'm Scottish. I'm not having it, mate. We're not getting Gerrard, bro. There's no chance.
Listen, there's no way I want them 3. Gerrard, Lampard or Carsley are not the 3 that I would want. So I think for me, you know, if you're going to go foreign, Thomas Tuchel's put his name in the hat today. That is a good CV. Somebody that I would like. I agree with what you're saying, Terry, in terms of winning. Jurgen Klopp, I think, is probably going to be staying away, isn't he? Jurgen Klopp's not going to come because he's left Liverpool to have a break and chill out. I don't think he'd come to England, or would he? He's turned down the USA job, apparently. Germany are sniffing around him. I don't know that he would come to England. But in terms of the actual tournament, just quickly on some of those players and why I blame Southgate more, it wasn't just the fact that you're looking at the Fodens, Bellinghams, Kanes, the list can go on, and thinking, what the hell's going on? This is not your club form. The positives that people gave him was the subs that he made. But even then, they were too late. I mean, don't get me wrong. Palmer was a brilliant sub. Watkins was a brilliant sub. Tony was a brilliant sub. You have to be bringing them on a lot earlier to change the game. You cannot be seeing Tony coming on with 30 seconds to go. And the reason that hasn't changed, bruv, is because he did the same with Jack Grealish against France when it was 2-2. 93rd minute, he's coming to warm up to come on. This is a problem with the manager for me. So I think it's good that he's gone.
Yeah.
I don't know where we go next, but I'm glad for it. I really am.
You are right against France. I mean, Rashford was having a great World Cup, and he gave Rashford 6 minutes against France.
Yep.
And the problem
Saka
you
was
have,
our best player against France, and he took him off.
yeah.
So
you know, and Sterling was having a poor tournament, and he brought him on, and it was
I remember that.
He's made so many mistakes like that I think it's very, very difficult to ignore him. And look, I criticized Phil Foden this tournament because barring the first 50 minutes in the semi-final, I thought he was poor. But I don't think he's a poor player. And I'm going to defend a lot of this crop of England players in the same way as I defended the previous golden generation, as the media phrased them. We had our best midfielder Scholes moved out of position, and Senghor and Eriksson, I don't want to be too harsh on him because he's obviously going through a lot right now, but openly admitted it in an interview. The reason he moved Scholes is because he was more talented and he wanted all three on the pitch, which was crazy. Then you had for years a Gerrard and Lampard debate, tried to make them work. They could never play together. One of them needed to be dropped. The midfielder we should have built the team around in that era was Michael Carrick, because he was the only midfielder we had that could do that kind of controlling role. But no, he wasn't a big enough superstar. And I hate that we've gone down the same path. I love Phil Foden. I love Jude Bellingham. But the fact that both started every single England game was an abomination. One of them had to be dropped to create the balance the team needs. Then you've got one of them coming on from the bench. It's, everybody gets very tribal. City fans will defend him, or anyone who hates Jude Bellingham will say, no, you've got to have this, you've got to do that. I'm not really precious about which one it is, but it's about the fact our team lacked balance in all 7 games that we played, and this was never addressed, was absolutely crazy to me personally. And then it had a knock, and then once we went up against a team with the quality of Spain, that's when it had an even bigger knock-on effect on everybody in the team, because we know Kobbie had a really poor game. He's probably the only one I didn't overly go in on because he is 19 years old. He's only essentially been a professional footballer 9 months in terms of playing at the top level.
He had a great tournament though, Terry.
He did. Again, I think because he had a good tournament, he gets a bit more leeway. Gay, he had a really good tournament. You could forgive him if he had a poor game at some point. But I felt that everybody got affected by the poor tactics in the final game because the team we were against was just so much better. We got away with it because we played teams that some of the teams we played in the earlier stages were more organized than we were, had better systems, but pound for pound just didn't have better players than we did. And as soon as we came up against a very good team, we were just absolutely outclassed, and we couldn't just get away with the firepower argument again. You see boxers like it sometimes. They can punch their way through most fights, and then they go up against an Alexander Usyk, and it's like, Jesus Christ, no matter what I do, I just can't beat them. And it felt that way to me at the weekend. And we need a manager now that's just going to find, look. And that probably the biggest bugbear for me, I said it earlier, is that the one thing I always praise Southgate for in England is we sort of remove the cliques, we remove the egos, we remove it's all on Rooney, it's all on Beckham, it's all on Shearer nonsense we did for so many years, all on Gaza. We removed all of that, but this year it's all back. And that's what we need to focus on getting rid of again. And there's a few people in the comments that, Terry, it wasn't Jude's fault that Adidas made the advert. Listen, Jude's team, you're telling me Jude's team didn't have sign-off on it. They didn't know what was going on. I would have advised him this is not a good look, because it's now coming out through all the papers. A lot of the players were annoyed about it, frustrated. This stuff is all important. Absolutely. Could you imagine if Haaland did an advert for whoever he's sponsored by before the beginning of the season, and the message of it was, as long as I'm here, City will win. Without me, they're doomed. That is not going to go down well in your dressing room. It just isn't. None of our clubs.
Also, Terry,
bad smell.
The fans haven't really done themselves any favors, in my opinion, in this tournament either. We are a very passionate country, and I totally understand you've got love for your club. And I will always be club over country, 100%. I'd rather see Arsenal win the Champions League than England to win, right? I would. That's just me. Some people are different. But my God, some people take it far, man. Like throughout the whole of social media, it's actually been quite unenjoyable, the tournament in social media during this tournament. Like people
Agreed.
saying, drop Saka for Palmer, get him gone. Saka's the reason we're still in the competition, you absolute clowns. What are you talking about? That Foden, he's just overrated. Absolutely dreadful player. What is everyone seeing in him? Are you joking? The guy's won a treble, for goodness sake. Jude Bellingham, yeah, shouldn't be the Ballon d'Or. He's just overrated. No, he's not. Like Harry Kane, washed, absolute wash. The geezer scored 35 goals for Bayern Munich. What are you talking about? It's because Arsenal fans will hate Kane, Manchester City fans will hate Saka, Chelsea fans want Palmer over Saka, Arsenal fans think Foden's overrated because he plays for City. It's embarrassing. Ain't they all supposed to be for the one club? I see Arsenal and Liverpool fans going, that can't be mine. We need to calm down. We need to calm down. No, we don't. He's a good player, man. He's 19 years old. He stepped up to the mark. Everyone's like, yeah, he's not actually that great. He wouldn't last at Man United or Liverpool. Yeah, he probably would. He's quite a good centre-half. Like, what is it all about? I don't get this. We have this tribalism and it just goes way too over the top, in my opinion. And
Yeah,
I
because
think
people
that's
don't want to
why.
speak about the manager enough, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. People try to tell me, gaslighting me, gaslight me about this manager, try to tell me that, oh, well, he's done better than all the other managers that we've had recently. Yeah, that's because the recent managers we've had, is Roy Hodgson. Yeah, we had Steve McLaren. Like, come on, man. What are you trying to tell me? And they say, oh, yeah, but, Capello didn't do particularly well. Well, hang on a minute, yeah. Capello kind of got had off in that tournament anyway, because this is the thing, yeah. If you want to do the facts, you got to do the facts properly. You actually do the Capello one, right? We should have topped the group that year, and we didn't top the group because we drew our first game, and then obviously we got the Germany farce that obviously happened. But anyway, it's by the by. The fact is, yes, this manager's done better than recent managers, but I'm not being funny here. Roy Hodgson and Steve McLaren are not exactly like top tier managers. So stop pretending like we've had these mint managers in the past and like this guy's better than them all. No, we've had shocking managers in the past. And this is the problem.